Thank you for clicking on the video. My name's Matt, and welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my channel is called Secondhand Home Theater, where I talk about various home theater topics. And the big catch for my channel is that I buy everything used, everything secondhand. Very few items in my home theater are bought brand new. And that's the whole reason for this channel, to talk about used items and good values and good quality items you can pick up on the used market. Here today, this is a video in my Why I Own It series, where I talk about a certain piece of media and give you the reason why I own it. And here today, if you look behind me, I'm going to be talking about The Evil Dead. And I'm going to talk about this 3-disc Evil Dead Ultimate Edition set and why I own it. So stay tuned. The original Evil Dead from 1981 from Sam Raimi that I'm talking about here today, not any of the remakes or sequels. And for the original Evil Dead, I've been a fan of that movie. I can't say it's like one of my most favorite horror movies of all time, and I actually became a fan of that much later in life. I actually knew Sam Raimi and kind of liked Sam Raimi as a director more from the Spider-Man movies of the early 2000s, and not so much the Evil Dead series. Like I said, I kind of discovered that later on in life. Now, talking about the Evil Dead series, at least the original 3 movies, the original Evil Dead is much different than its 2 sequels, because the original Evil Dead is much more trying to be a by-the-book, very play-it-straight horror movie, with a little bit of comedy thrown in, but it really leans more on trying to be an actual horror movie and be scary and be something like that. Where the sequels leaned much more into kind of absurdity, and there's horror elements to it, but it's way more of like a horror comedy, you know, where there's a lot more just over-the-top comedy and slapstick and visual gags and like all this sort of stuff mixed in with the little bit of horror elements in there. So this movie is kind of different than the 2 sequels that follow it. And for me, you know, I like kind of both of them. I like the merits of such a low quality, low budget horror movie like the original Evil Dead. And I do like the more over the top slapstick, just, you know, almost absurd level of like gore and violence in the other movies, you know, in the comedic moments. So I'm kind of split. I think they both have their merits, and I don't know if I can pick one over the other necessarily. But that leads me to this DVD set that I have here. Now, I originally owned just a standard single disc THX certified edition of the original Evil Dead. That's the one I've had in my collection really up until just recently, here like within the last week or 2. And I saw this at a vintage stock that I was at recently in the last couple weeks. And I bought this for $12, which is actually a pretty good deal. Online, this version tends to fluctuate. Sometimes you can get it around $8, $10, $12, you know, give or take, and plus or minus a little bit for shipping, depending on how the seller has the listing set up. But I've also seen these go and sell for like 30, 40, 50 bucks sometimes on eBay, depending on if it's brand new, what condition it's in, and all that. So it definitely, you know, kind of spans a wide range of pricing out there. But for $12, I think this was a good pickup. Now this set, why this is kind of special and sometimes can be hard to come by, and why I think the prices fluctuate up and down so much, is that this is a 3-disc set, which I'll kind of hold this up, hopefully you can see it. This comes with the first disc is basically the THX single disc standalone widescreen edition of this movie, just with a different kind of menu system to say Ultimate Edition instead of just the regular Evil Dead. So that disc is pretty much the same. But the second disc is the original movie in a full frame, full screen 4:3 aspect ratio instead of a 16:9 anamorphic widescreen. And then the third disc is basically all the supplemental features and a documentary about the ladies of the Evil Dead and production stills and trailers and basically all the bonus contents just on that single disc. Now, I'm not so much talking about the bonus content. I'm really going to talk about the 2 discs of the actual movie. So I'm going to say up front, I don't have a huge knowledge of the Evil Dead franchise in terms of all the background history and production history and releases on home media and all this stuff. I have some knowledge of other franchises like that. Admittedly, Evil Dead is not one of them. So if I mess something up here, feel free, you can correct me down in the comments below and call me out on it. I'm perfectly okay with that. But there is a giant fan base for this franchise that spans all the movies, the TV shows, all kinds of stuff, and they just know everything about it. So I am not one of those people, okay? So I'm putting that out there up front. But from discourse that I have seen online over the years, on forums and different pages, there's a lot of push and pull and back and forth about this original movie. Should you watch it in the widescreen cropped ratio, which I believe is like 1.85:1, and on this disc is a 16:9 anamorphic widescreen? Or should you watch it in the more opened up standard Academy ratio of like 4:3 that you would have seen on like a standard 4:3 television? But again, if I mess something up on this, feel free to let me know in the comments. But from what I have heard in certain circles online, is that Sam Raimi preferred this movie to be shown in the opened up 4:3 aspect ratio. That he only went in and cropped it to a 1.85:1 ratio later on for certain home media releases. That it wasn't initially shot like that because the budget and everything that he did was so minute at the time and so low budget that he anticipated it being shown in the original 4:3 aspect ratio. Again, I could be completely out of the ballpark on that. So if I'm wrong and I mess that up, definitely let me know and I will completely, own up to that. So the whole reason I own this edition is because you get both versions on this 3-disc set. And so you have the choice of watching both the widescreen and the full screen version of the movie, which the actual content of the movie, as far as I'm aware, I don't believe the content was changed. So outside of the aspect ratio being different, I don't believe scenes have been changed. There's no audio difference, nothing like that. It's just the aspect ratio of the actual picture that you're seeing. So this set gives you that, and then it gives you the documentary. But that is not the only thing it gives you. I was lucky enough to find this one, which I didn't realize it had it in there at the time I bought it. Comes with the original poster that came with it. So you get a mini poster of the original Evil Dead theatrical poster right here. And then on the flip side is the updated version for the Ultimate Edition release, which is pretty cool. It's just the color grading and color palettes changed just a little bit. So to end this video, the whole reason that I own this Evil Dead 3-disc set is mainly because you get both versions of the film in the widescreen and the full screen. Which brings me to one other point, which again, I'm not 100% sure about this. I might edit this out, or I may put a little subtitle blurb thing in here if I figure this out. I'm not 100% sure if this movie, the original Evil Dead, was released on a 4K release. I do believe it was released on Blu-ray, and I think the Blu-ray was pretty shoddy, if I remember correctly from reading stuff online. Again, I may be wrong. You can feel free to comment down below and roast me on that if I'm way off. I know with some of the other Evil Dead releases on 4K, like Army of Darkness and stuff, they did multiple disc sets that were released with that had alternate versions or aspect ratios or different director's cuts and alternate cuts and stuff. So potentially the original Evil Dead may have been released on a 4K or a Blu-ray special edition that includes the full frame and the widescreen edition. I'm not 100% sure about that. Admittedly, like I said, I don't know, so I'm throwing that out there. Don't hold me to that. So again, to round out this video, to end it here, the whole reason I own this version of the Evil Dead on DVD is because you get both the full frame and the widescreen editions in one set. So with that, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's watched my content. I say that all the time. I really do appreciate the support, the likes, the subscribers, everything. It's truly humbling to me, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you.